Good afternoon, everybody. It's Lorraine Alternative Homesteading on May 21, 2026. And last night, or I should say early this morning, I read a very long testimony, testimony part one by Brandon E. Amlin. He is a survivor of the S.S.Ps, as well as an extreme targeting by the Orion group, along with their spawn of encompassing area of our reality, including local government, right down to everyday law enforcement, along with your seemingly normal, everyday, average community members. Now, he sent this to me via email, and it was extremely tiny print. And this happens with a lot of people who are speaking into their phone. I'm just going to, give you some feedback here. It's very time consuming for me. I have to literally cut your testimony and paste it into another email and enlarge the font because it's so tiny. The formatting is so poor. Words are jumbled up, and sometimes I have to re-edit everything. It's very time consuming. Then, of course, in reading it, I never know how long it's going to take. So early this morning when I read this testimony, it went over an hour. I had no idea it was going to take that long. And I wasn't finished yet. So I'm going to read the balance of it now, and you'll see that it might be at least another 20 minutes or more. But please be cognizant that, it's one thing to be doing an interview testimony over the phone, and I'm recording it, where you're doing all the speaking. But it's another when I'm the one that has to do all the speaking out loud, and I don't mind doing it. I mean, that's part of what my channel does. But if you're going to send me your testimony in writing, please do your best to edit it so that it's more readable. It's for me, because I don't know your language, and especially with this one, there are a lot of F words in it. And I don't want that many F words in the testimonies. I want it to be as clean as possible. So I'm just saying saying F. But please be cognizant and change those words if at all possible. Because once I start reading it, I'm stuck, like seeing some of your words there. And I know that sometimes the F word is the only word to use in a particular situation. But when it's littered throughout a testimony, it really does a disservice to your testimony and for the targeted people that are listening. So anyway, so here we go. I'm going to pick up where I left off, okay? So if you've read or listened to part one, which was an hour and 11 minutes, I'm going to pick up where I left off. So here we go. I worked at Autumnwood Care Center from 2014 to 2015. Glenn frequented this place often, never leaving anyone alone. Loud and distracting, always on the call, light picking at you because he knew you couldn't fight back. When Glenn would go home, he would automatically call the facility, and of course, no one wanted to talk. But the phone kept ringing. And because you were on the job, you had to answer. They would then transfer his call hall to hall until somebody gave in to him. If you hung up, he'd call back, and the game just continued, feeding off the person who could not fight back. Then I got an idea. Hey, what if I act like Glenn Mallory? Back to Glenn Mallory? I love impersonations. It's a talent and good for a laugh. Ring ring, hee-wee. I obnoxiously uttered into the phone. Who is this? He asked. I'm Glenn Mallory. He stopped and replied, I am. I started arguing with him using his voice in the same obnoxious tone, right back at him. I already knew his script, so I would jump in front of him, acting like him, annoying him to the point that the call only lasted a few minutes and then hung up. That was a first. I can't speak for any of the other, it says halls in that facility, but I'm going to say maybe calls. But during the rest of my time on 300 Hall, I never received another call from Glenn Mallory. Uncle Gary, on the other hand, side note, situations like these call for desperate measures. You can follow protocol and end up losing, or you can do whatever you, the individual, sees fit to accomplish the goal of whooping ass. I believe I'll take the latter of the two. When this thing had possession of my body, my nerves, I could do nothing. But it only had half control. I could still think. And being out of options, I had no other choice but to give him the Glenn Mallory treatment. Plain and simple. Every time this mentally disabled monster would speak, I took its tone and started yelling back at it, saying the exact same thing, only in a more annoying tone than it could stand. It would get louder, so then I would, half laughing, half terrified, while doing my best to train all my focus on these monsters. Putting all focus on this individual, copying it word for word, and then telling it, no, 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 I'm in control, not you. It kept telling me more and more confused until it just stopped. It seems like this took forever. I have no idea how long this lasted. The feeling of electricity just vanished and I felt exhausted. F me running. That was possession. What is going on here? I did not sleep that night. 3/17 St. Patrick's Day. The next day at work, I was drained. I was in the barn running everything through my head. 2 p.m., 30 minutes to go. I was watching a video of Sir Patrick's Max in pursuit of truth when I heard a voice say, quote, "The crystal kids are waking up," unquote. Then all of a sudden, another presence flooded my mind, and it hit me like an anvil. In my mind, very clearly, I could see the structure of a large ship with tanks containing people. And a sense of panic hit me. I realized that the people who came into the shelter that week were not, in fact, people standing there. I saw the mullet-headed woman and the shitbag bros standing right next to a really big lizard. It felt like my whole body was about to be sucked up through a tunnel, being funneled into the ship. At that point, I was having none of it. I bore down and did not allow this thing to hijack me. They couldn't do it, and they knew it. And at that point, the big lizard started yelling at me, and he was pissed. We can delete, I'm going to say, use the word delete, your mom anytime we want to. We have complete control. Being that Mr. Nice Guy left the state a week ago, they found the pissed off neighbor they had so desperately been seeking. I started telepathically screaming back, F you. You want to F with me? I'll burn your ships up. Right then, I felt a blast of fire come at me and headed straight up the pipe. I saw fire explosions and this prick started screaming even more loudly. It was yelling all kinds of stuff. All the while I'm yelling back, F yourself, you scaly bastard. This telepathic screaming match. So here you go. Telepathic screaming match. Lasted for about half an hour. When at 2:30 the girl from the next shift walked in, took a look at me wide-eyed, up through a dead serious look on my face and asked, what's going on? I ran out, hit the time clock, and sped home. The moment I ran through the door, bam, instant clear telepathic connection with what I could see were light bodies and the outline of 3 individuals who, although I couldn't distinctly see but knew, it was the presence of a very strong elder female, a younger female, and the presence of a young male. They spoke loudly, quote unquote, turn off the furnace. So I ran over and shut it off. And all of a sudden the connection got even more clear. Before I could say a word, the elder female light body said in a very calm voice, we are here to help. I replied, then get me the F out of here. In a very nice tone, the elder woman plainly stated that Donald Trump is not here to save you. And that his job is to give everything a chance to, in time, be fully exposed, including you. Exposed, I yell? What the F did I do? I admit I had no idea what they were talking about. At that point, the male took over and said, "Look at this," and showed me what looked like a tunnel of light of all kinds of tiny lines running parallel over my head. This is all information, and showed me a vision of a cable with a TS tip that you plug into a guitar amp, and then said, quote, "Look, it's just like your guitar cord," unquote. You just plug it right in. Right then, I felt like an unlimited amount of thought and emotions came flooding through me, previously recorded by those who felt the experience. At first, I felt great. "Wow," I said, while absorbing the emotion of extreme bliss, and then in an instant, it felt like the most sickening vibe ever. It made me want to puke. Then back to happy. Then on to something else, the Akashic in full swing. The young female voice stated that we would be in to see you in the morning. I had a flash of the front porch of the shelter. She stated that we won't be the ones in, but we will be the second to walk through the door. I was getting kind of nervous about the whole situation. The male voice told me very politely to undress and sit on the floor in the same spot that I meditate in. Very fast but nervously, I took off my shirt. The male voice knew that I was nervous and said, "Oh, you like this?" Like he was scrolling through a personal Rolodex of an inner me. Right then, in my head and inner being, the most perfect sounding clarity of a song I had ever heard in my life started to play. Soundgarden's Black Hole Sun. There was no way to explain how good this sounded. No way at all. It slowed me way down to the point where I stopped undressing, focused on them, and asked, "So, what are you guys doing? What do you do for fun out there?" The male voice said in a louder tone, "You need to hurry up." "Oh, yeah. I ripped my pants off and asked, Am I going to burn? Am I going to burn up?" They said, "You say you burn when you ascend." He very calmly said, "But no, but yes." Whoa, I was ready to jump into any kind of crazy experience that lay ahead of me. The past 7 years had been a hell ride. And there you go, 7 is a Saturn number. And I was ready to dip out. Yet at the same time, I must say, it was effing exhilarating. I jumped into the same spot as always, right in front of the door, crossing my legs, while resting my wrists on my knees, closed my eyes, and saw white light and a pyramid, missing the top with an eye sitting above it, being surrounded by an infinity of tiny little rings of light circling the pyramid. I said to myself, I wasn't expecting that. I was told to lay on my back and lift my leg high and rest above it on my TV stand, so I did. As I lay there, everything went even more bright white, but no noise at all, peacefully quiet. I could only see the outline of them, but they moved around me and felt a tickle on my left ear, then my left shoulder. It started busting up laughing. The male voice said very loudly, "Wow, this guy's tough." The female voice was not happy that I had just repeated the profanity of my everyday life, and she gave him a very loud scolding grumble that she blurred out, so I couldn't understand exactly what she was saying. But I sure understood her tone. The male voice very calmly said, "Why not? He says it." I started belly laughing so hard, they told me to hold still. I kept feeling little tickles all over, making me laugh. Wow, this guy's tough. The female voice again scolding him. To his reply, "Why not? He says it." I started laughing. Bah ha ha. "Hold still," they politely said. So I did. The male voice said, "Now hold your legs still or I'll snap," whatever that meant. I held still, and whatever he did to my leg tickled a lot for about 15 seconds. He then said, "Okay, you're done. Put your leg down." So I did. He then said very calmly, "You see, I told you he was effing tough." The female voice calmly stated, "Yes, yes, he is." All the while I lay in a calm, meditative giggle. Then all of a sudden from the bathroom came a huge growl. I lifted my head up and I looked in that direction, and the male voice said, quote, "Oh, don't worry. It's just making its last stand." I was told to go get up, lay down on the couch, but under no circumstances was I supposed to go outside tonight. It was said very loud, and I passed out on the couch. To be continued. Okay, so obviously this is a very different sort of testimony. This is a testimony that is pretty much storytelling. So, a lot of people who are targeted mention all of the tactics that are happening to them. Now, what it appears to me is this gentleman has a lot of telepathic, perhaps V2K telepathic targeting happening to him, and he's relaying some of those telepathic or V2K conversations in this testimony. Please leave a comment down below to also to Brandon. Perhaps Brandon, when you listen to this testimony, you can clarify some of what was read, because I know that you were having a difficulty reading this into your phone and editing stuff, and of course having me read it. I don't really know how your language and how you speak, and it is mostly a storytelling here. So if you've got anything else to add, please let me know. I know that you said this is testimony part 1 and testimony part 2. In order to engage people, most people want to know what your targeting experiences are about. It's good to recollect all of these very personal experiences, but sometimes people want to know exactly what the targeting is like. So if you can perhaps concentrate on those areas of your life and how it's changed your life, that would be wonderful. And I absolutely love the gematria and the numerological coincidences that you've been discovering in your targeting.